Oh, let me get out. Here's my space.
I'm next.
Last year was a culmination of a really long journey. When I had Austin, I had no idea when we brought her home that anything was wrong. Well, a week or so later, Austin kept getting golder and golder and more buttercup and
Like a little buttercup.
like a little buttercup.
They call me Buttercup.
And we called her Buttercup. And we were at church at a gathering, and one of the nurses, who was a peds nurse, came up and she said, "Let me see her." And she said, immediately, she said, "Something's not right."
Something's wrong.
She said, "I've seen babies that have the breastfeeding jaundice," because Austin breast is best.
Good job,
And
Mom.
with
She
all
fed
of
5 of
mine.
them with a breast. Oh my god.
And so, she said something is wrong. So we made an appointment for Austin, and it took almost 6 weeks to diagnose Austin's illness.
Poor Austin.
They did every kind of test possible, and it was I thought it was going to be the hardest 6 weeks of my whole life. Once she was diagnosed, and the last thing was that they did a biopsy on her. And immediately that next day, they Learjetted her to Gainesville at Shands. That was her first operation, and at that time, and until she was 16 years old, that was her only operation. And they made it possible that she didn't have to immediately go for a transplant. And we were so thankful, and I remember when she was a year old, we invited our entire church to come to a celebration just like today to celebrate that Austin was still here, because children with her disease don't live past 2 very often, and at that time it was even fewer than it is today. So we knew that there would be a transplant one day, but we didn't ever know when, and we thought, here she is, 16, a year ago in 2 weeks. She's 16, and I thought, how lucky can we be? How much longer can we go? And then we get a call one morning, and some heroes in our life, Rhiannon and Johnny,
Does that say Evie?
took this young lady
Does that say
once she
Evie?
complained about having a little bit of red, and she was in her throat. Sorry. And we knew that the beginning was starting, but we didn't really know what the beginning was. And for so many years, 16 years, I've been on the internet with people whose children and grandchildren and other people have been through all this. But until we actually stepped into those shoes, we had no idea how immense the journey would be. So Austin was so brave through everything. And that first day it started, and it became day 2. And I really, at that point, we didn't know if this girl was going to make it. But we got lucky, and a doctor that just happened to be there, some kind of blessing that, as always, Austin seems to bring into our lives, was there, and he knew someone who was at Atlanta in Children's.
The cardiologist guy,
And-
the tall black fella.
I don't remember what
No,
his
he
name was
was
even.
a really tall guy, and he had brown hair, and he explained the whole thing with my
And
then
he was
I
like,
did my residency there.
and he was like, so don't worry about anything. We're gonna get her there. So Austin and I sat down on the bed, and I held her hand, and we prayed. We had this really amazing prayer, and we just said, Lord, we're gonna put it in your hands, and whatever you plan for us, we'll take. Well, the moment that we both said amen and let hands go, my phone rang, and it was the moment.
No kidding. She's
And
not
I
being
picked up the phone, and the lady said, "Is this Marty Clayton?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, don't worry about anything else. We have a bed for your daughter." And so at that point, we had the new hope.
Go show us.
This was one of the first of many new hopes that we went through in less than a week. So we went up to Atlanta, and seemed like a lot more than a week. They had a process for her up there to go through that they had not done on juvenile minor children yet. So it was an experimental thing because her bleed was so bad. So they made the procedure and everybody came out. Success, yay, success. Well, within 5 hours, her body was creating so much pressure from blood not going through the liver that it blew out her liver overnight and damaged her kidneys. So they put her onto another experimental machine that they had never used in kids, but she was close enough to being an adult.
Yeah, good timing.
And they hooked her up and they put 2 big old giant ports in her neck and shocked us all and put her onto a machine. And they said, well, she's got about 2 weeks on this machine. 2 weeks. So at that point, the dreaded moment came when we had to list Austin. And guys, I had waited for this time for so long and was so afraid at every moment, every second that was going by. And at every second and every moment of that time, this child smiled. This girl was so brave that all I could do was stand back and try to hang on for life for this thing, for this whole ride, this whole journey. So the first day went by, and they had her just on a regional list. But at day 2, they could then put her onto another list, which brought her nationwide. Across the nation, they looked for livers for this kid. And then again, one of those blessings that God just happens to put into her life, a person became eligible.
Right for Austin's
Now,
face.
for this person to become eligible, they had to pass from this world. And their family was so generous. This is where I'm going to cry because it's a humbling and a fascination that these people could be so real and so beautiful that they would say yes. And that my daughter would have a chance
Doing life race.
to become 17. 17 who
And 18.
I never thought would even make it past 2.
What, not 19?
So,
Bless you.
the next day, that evening as a matter of fact, I got a call on my phone at 10:30 at night. And the coordinator said, well, she said, I think we have the perfect liver for your daughter. And I didn't know what to say. What do you say to that? How do you say thank you? How do you say all the emotions that come at one moment in that?
Took less than 36
And
hours.
I said, okay. I said, well, it's 10:30 at night now. I said, I'm not going to tell her because she won't sleep. And she'll be too excited.
I didn't even know I was in liver failure. I was so like drugged and stuff. I was like, oh, what?
I got you on some good
And so,
So good drugs.
but
Scratch
the
my
next
head, but
morning,
not too
I
hard.
said, I have to tell her because
Let
she's
me
going to
dip
want
in
to
the
know
towel,
why
baby
she
sweetheart.
can't eat.
No, I didn't know until we rolled into the post op.
No, I told you before that.
Okay, well then I didn't really.
You didn't
hear it.
conceive of it.
No, my brain was like, it was like morphine.
Yeah.
It was like,
It was
no,
like
no.
morphine.
So they took her
No,
in that
even
night.
worse,
It was
fentanyl
supposed to be
citrate.
4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it ended up being, I think 7 o'clock, 7:30 that night.
I still
They
didn't
took
know.
her
Where's your slideshow? That would be perfect right now.
Shoot.
Man, I remember
forgot to finish
sleeping in
it.
that room with those uncomfortable chairs. The wood
So-
all
I'll send it
fucking
to
at
you.
you.
Yeah, poor Joel.
During all that time, we had this huge support team that not only came here to Pensacola when she went in the hospital and never left, they also came with us to Atlanta and never left.
Her there, never left my side.
And
slept in the hospital bed with me.
to those people, I can't know enough to say thank you either. Because even though I may have been like distracted or doing many other things or trying to sleep in between all the buzzing and all the
Beeping.
Beeping
My heart
and
was
the
like so
beeping.
out of control that the monitor beeped like 24/7.
it was crazy. So she went in at 7, and every hour on the hour they called us in the waiting room. Every hour and a half. They call us in the waiting room, and it'd be like Nothing's changed. It's all good. Nothing's changed. It's all good.
Everybody
It's
would
good.
jump as soon as that phone rang.
When that phone rang.
Every single time. And they called us and asked us about,
Oh yeah.
what did they ask us if we had?
And Richard kept us all
And
laughing.
we didn't know
Read
what it
a
was.
book, man.
You want to get
I
back?
don't remember.
The machine? It was a machine, wasn't
Like
it?
an ultrasound?
No, it wasn't an ultrasound.
I don't know, but we just kept answering that phone. And finally, I think it was 2:30 in the morning, and they said she's all done. And it's beautiful.
He came down to see us.
Pretty liver.
And
Johnny
we met
asked
the
him.
doctor, and he
diapers.
was amazing.
Johnny asked the doctor if he wore diapers on long
Yeah,
surgeries.
I said, did you go to the bathroom while we did that? While you did all that?
It's a good Grey's Anatomy
He's
thing.
It's amazing.
He said you
TV.
watch too
That's
much
very
TV.
Grey's
He's like,
Anatomy.
there's
Yeah.
enough doctors where if I really need a break, I can take one.
There was that.
That's what you're supposed to say.
How do you say? How do you say thank you for saving my daughter's life?
Thanks for putting a new liver in my body.
Impossible. Crazy.
He was so nonchalant about it.
What was
Like,
cool is being
He's
able
like,
to
"I do
ask
this
that
every day."
doctor if he cured Austin of her disease, and then him saying yes was really neat.
So biliary atresia was gone, and now it's transplant life. So transplant life. What is that like?
no eggs, no milk,
Transplant life is
No grape.
being very careful about
Everything.
everything.
masks.
It's being yeah, she had to wear a mask for a year.
A lanyard.
You know,
Heavy.
it's an amazing day today, and
Come here, Ev.
all I can do is say I thank God. I thank my family and the friends that are here today to help us celebrate a really marvelous, amazing person who was brave and continues to be brave and struggle on, surpassing her school that she missed last year and is now almost officially a senior.
Not yet.
Has plans for college, has plans for a life in the future that when she was first diagnosed 17 years ago, I had no concept this child would live. So thank you all very much, and I love you very much, Austin Ruth. And I do it for all my kids, and I'm so happy that you're here. We couldn't have imagined life
Incidentally,
without you.
Emory University Children's Hospital, you just don't show up there with your children. You have to be
Okay.
referred there by surgeons or other
Hey,
MDs.
hey.
Mwah.
And they took her right away. I mean, she was in a helicopter and gone.
All right, all good.
Yeah, I flew in a plane.
They're like the
Yeah, but you didn't know
best
that.
transplant center
Her
on
second
Earth.
plane trip for an emergency.
Oh yeah, because the first one was
First
like a
one-
tiny baby child.
First one was pretty awesome as well.
Except
But
for,
they
for,
wouldn't
except
let me
for
go
the
with
kid
you.
that was with me. Except for the kid
Yeah.
that was with me.
There's another child with her, and that baby died.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us.
So, yeah,
That's for sure.
there's got to be a reason that she's here. Got to be a reason.
Most
Reason that we're
definitely.
all here. So, congratulations on your first year.
1 year liverversary.
Yeah. Here's to
Hooah!
74.
Happy anniversary.
I know. I want to say something now. Too.
Oh boy. No.
Now we all have to cry.
Hey Austin.
You never.
Are you all ready?
Feelings.
No, I'm
This is weird.
emotional robot. Well,
What does that say?
same thing for mom.
Listen,
My whole thing is, I want to thank everybody for the support. There were so many people that came and just couldn't leave and helped in every conceivable way
Mom, is she
to help this family.
listen.
There were so many hard decisions to make. You know, I knew when I met mom, oh, you were what, 4? 65 years old. Well, okay, 4, 5, or 6. And
Tiny.
I was 20.
That was good.
Mom filled me in
That was
on
nice.
what was going on with her daughter. And
He could have been like, nope, gotta go.
that's not what
Stay.
but that's not what
He's
I've learned about it, and I went to every doctor's appointment, Every trip down to Shan's transplant team, met these brilliant people that take care of young people. And started to learn about this thing. And then, like Mom said, the day finally happened. Never was prepared. Thought I was, as far as knowing what's going on, but so many things. First of all, to the person that lost their life and then gave so many organs to save so many other lives. Because when the transplant team, we were in the car when we got the call, they said we have a liver. And when we finally met the coordinator, because I never realized how much had to go into someone to get an organ, that this person was so healthy and took care of themselves so well that 8 other teams were coming in.
Almost every organ that he or she could get, I was pictured as he.
I guess I do too. Is that weird? I totally always think of it as
I
a.
think skin included.
Yeah, it was. They won't tell us any details or
Right.
anything, but you know what?
I made my own picture.
When that surgeon came out and he says, I make no promises, but it couldn't have gone any better. He said the liver was in the best shape